We are live. Good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it happens to be in your neck of the woods. Lee Hayward here with Jeff Samataro. And Jeff, speak to me.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm here.
We're a few minutes late getting this thing off the ground because we had some audio issues. Technology is wonderful when it works and not when it doesn't. So we are working now. It is loud and clear as far as I'm concerned. I can hear Jeff, he can hear me. For
Yes,
those
I
of
can
you
hear you.
live, can you hear us? Because that's what we're doing this for you, the viewers of this video chat. So if you are watching right now, let us know if you can hear us, if you can see us, if this is coming through loud and clear on your end. Would be greatly appreciated. So we're getting some people jumping in on the chat right now or on the stream. Let's see, Rodrigo, I believe it is. I can hear it, Lee. Matt Kelly, thank you, Matt. Good. Seems fine. Excellent. Thank you for that. All right.
Great.
So the way these video chats work, for those of you who are new, welcome. It's always nice to have new people joining in. Is myself and Jeff, we're going to be hanging out here for the next little while. We'll probably have to cut this one a bit short because we are running bit pressed for time. So probably 45 minutes thereabouts, we'll do a video chat answering questions and topics that you have related to fitness and nutrition, anything like if there's specific challenges when it comes to your workouts, specific challenges when it comes to your eating plan, or building muscle, losing fat, anything at all along those lines, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window there. And we have people tuning in from both Facebook as well as YouTube, because I'm streaming this on both platforms. So if you are tuning in from either one, feel free to type it in there, your questions and topics of discussion, and we'll take it away. We'll answer those the best we can. So last week we didn't have a chat. I was missing in action, and Jeff, you were actually ill as well.
Yes,
with the virus.
Second bout of COVID. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've never had it yet. How's your recovery from that this time around?
This time around it's fine. Yeah. I mean, I had like a mild cough for like a day or two, and then I was fine. And it's kind of weird. I tested positive on Wednesday, and then I tested negative on Saturday. So, but on Sunday I was going for a bike ride, and and I've resumed my regular workouts and everything, and I've made a full recovery. So yeah.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that, and I'm sure you are as well. Obviously, that's awesome. I mean, hopefully, we're in the flu season now, so there's all kinds of sickness going around, as you can. I'm sure people, friends, family, coworkers, or whatever. I mean, it's pretty common this time of year. So definitely more motivation to take care of yourself, eat better, take care of your health and fitness, and try and keep that immune system strong.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Just make sure this is coming through. I see a lot of people joining in. We've got Rodrigo. We have Matt joining in. We have Lee joining in. Kane is joining us. We have Lisa. We have AJ joining in. As you're tuning in, just chime in. Let us know, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them there in the chat window. And even if it's any topics of discussion, like sometimes it's not always like, how do you do this or how do you do that? It might be, hey, like a topic of discussion that you want to bring up. Like, hey, you got our undivided attention for the next little while. Right? Tea with Lee. That's what I used to call these chats. But tea, it's your time, it's your energy, and your attention. So that's what you have for the next little while. Tea with Lee and Jeff.
Doesn't have quite the ring with it.
I know.
With my name.
Tea with Lee and jingles with Jeff.
There you go. I'll think of a good one for next time.
I don't know. We'll come up with something there. All right.
Kind of tagline.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for some questions, I know people are typing in there to the comments in the chat box. So that's cool. Let that keep going through. I actually have one that came through earlier through Messenger over on Facebook. This one's from Andrew, and Andrew lives over in the UK. So a lot of times, and this is something you have permission to do, it's the UK. A lot of times these video chats happen when he's not able to tune in because it's late over in the UK. So he very often sends in his question in advance. And this is his suggestion, or his situation, I should say. He's been I'll just read it out. He says, I've been currently bulking for 7 months. I've reached 25% body fat and hate the way I look. I'm trying to get down to 15% and main gain from there. That's a new term we hear a lot of people referring to. Stick to the 15% body fat and get no fatter than that and just main gain. I know a lot of people say they've tried main gaining and it didn't work, but they were main gaining at a low body fat level, i.e. 10%. Could I have decent gains if I stayed at 15% year round rather than bulking and cutting? So, I know a little bit of background about Andrew because we've had chats back and forth for quite a while. You know, he's been a regular of our, tuning into these video chats and stuff. He suffered from an eating disorder a while back, and he was very underweight. And now he's kind of gone the opposite spectrum, and now he's gained too much weight, right? And well, too much according to his personal liking. So let's just kind of address the topic at hand, the whole, can you build muscle and maintain a lean physique, right? This main gain idea. And Jeff, you've kind of gone through this and you're going through this yourself right now. So like kind of share a bit of your background, like, because you started off, your fitness journey was initially to lose weight, which it is for a lot of folks. And now that you've lost the weight, now you're focusing on filling out your frame with lean muscle. So just share how that's been going for you.
Yeah, well, about like 6 months before I reached out to you for coaching, what I was doing was I was trying to bulk up as well, and I was slamming back a whole bunch of calories and lifting weights and everything. And I mean, it's funny because I thought I looked a certain way, and it wasn't until I started taking progress pictures where I was like, I really don't look as good as I thought I did. So, I mean, my experience with bulking was pretty negative because I started to just look very skinny fat, and I didn't have any type of muscle definition whatsoever. So, I mean, I ditched the whole bulking thing about, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago now, and I've been main gaining since. And I mean, I've experienced some great gains in my physique, and I feel like I look a million times better. And I also feel a lot more comfortable because I'm not slamming back endless amounts of food, just trying to, be in the biggest calorie surplus I could possibly be in at the end of the day. So main gaining has worked really well for me. I've been doing it, and I've seen some gains and some, muscle definition, and
Okay.
so I'm all about it.
And let's break that down. Like, so what does that look like for you? Like, how are you doing things different as main gaining, if you will, or basically trying to stay lean while gaining muscle at the same time, right? Like, how is that? What are you doing differently now than you were before?
Well, now I'm more conscious of how I feel when I eat. So, and I purposely try to eat lower calorie foods and high volume. I eat until I'm comfortably full, and then I walk away from the table. As opposed to before, when I was bulking, I would try to eat. I'd try to add extra calories in the forms of fats like olive oil and peanut butter and stuff like that. And I would eat
I've been
until I
there.
was, yeah, and then eating until I was more than comfortably full to the point where I was feeling like I was busted out the seams.
Right.
So it's just like a matter of like, being aware of foods and like how many calories are in those given foods, right? And then knowing when to walk away from the table and say like, okay, I'm full, and that's all I need. I don't really believe in that you need this giant calorie surplus to build muscle. You really don't.
Nice. I'm glad that you shared that. And the way that I view it, because I went through a similar type of situation myself, because back when I started in bodybuilding, in the late 80s, early 90s, that time, the whole idea was bulking and cutting. And that's the way it was. You bulked up in the off season and you cut down if you were getting ready for a competition, or if you weren't a competitive bodybuilder, but you were like the recreational gym bodybuilder, then you bulked in the winter and you cut in the summer, right? Because everybody wants to look good in the summer. So most people went through a bulk cut cycle, regardless if they were doing a competition or they wanted to look good to take their shirt off, at the pool or the beach or wherever you're going for summer vacation. So that's a typical scenario for a lot of people. And a lot of people still follow that type of approach. And what I've found, what I would get caught up in is purposely trying to gain weight through food. Like I would eat so much and I wanted to see that scale going up and had ridiculous intentions. Like I was saying, I got to gain a pound a week or something like that. Like, okay, if I've eaten a calorie surplus and I'm gaining a pound a week and thinking that pound a week is going to be lean muscle. The problem with that is initially, yeah, you do fill out your glycogen stores and you will feel stronger in the short term. So in the first month or so, say like the first month, yeah, you may actually gain some quote unquote lean muscle, mostly in the form of topping up your glycogen stores and just having more strength and energy. But once you get beyond that, your glycogen levels are topped up, you have enough energy and calories and fuel to train and make progress with your workouts, then the excess just gets spilled over into body fat. And that happens very fast. And then it's just this negative spiral where you're gaining weight all right, but it's not good weight. You're basically just getting excess body fat from that point on. So the way I look at it now is eat to fuel your activity. Eat so that you can train hard, that you can recover and not feel like you're depleted or feel like you're on a diet. Right? So you just want to eat enough to meet your energy needs and then let your body grow. Like, so instead of trying to bulk up and force yourself to gain weight, I like to switch gears and let's forget forcing it and just focus on the physical side of things, like the workouts, how you're feeling, your strength, your energy. Are you eating enough that you're able to train hard and train consistent and recover from those workouts? Are you eating enough that you're able to get stronger in the gym? Right. So you're making small strength gains. And again, small strength gains means like over time, you're trying to get an extra repetition, trying to add an extra 5 pounds. And it's not every workout or even every week, but over the long time. Like if we were to chart it out on a graph and you're looking at your workouts, the weight you're lifting now, like in a couple months' time, you should be able to see some significant differences. Like you should be noticeably stronger in especially your key lifts, like the big compound lifts. Your repetition should be higher, in certain moves. Like you should be able to do more push-ups or pull-ups or things like that. Like you should see some form of progressive overload in your training. And as long as you're making that, progressive overload, you're on the right track because a stronger muscle is a bigger muscle and vice versa. So instead of stressing yourself out over, I got to try and gain a pound a week or whatever target number you put in your mind, like forget the scale. Focus on eating enough to fuel your activity and kind of let your body grow instead of trying to force it to grow. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I think if you're looking at the scale, you don't want to gain or lose weight too quickly. So on either end of the spectrum there. So if you're weighing yourself daily, just pay attention to that. If you're gaining weight too quick, you're not gaining muscle as much muscle as you think you are.
Absolutely. Yeah. So and in his situation now, I mean, like I know Andrew's to the point where he's gained some extra body fat. So he's already been through the bulk and he's at the phase now where, okay, there's extra body fat. He's noticeably seeing that. What I would recommend at this stage, like don't make any drastic changes. Like try and eat at maintenance calories and just focus on the training side. Like making sure that those calories are good calories. Because a lot of times when people go into bulking mode, they start thinking, oh, I'm allowed to have that slice of pizza. I'm bulking up. I'm allowed to have an ice cream. I'm bulking up. Or I'm allowed to eat peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon because I'm bulking up. Right? Right? I've been there. I've done all that stuff. Right? Speaking from experience. Right? So try and keep your eating almost the same as if you were quote unquote cutting, like the same type of foods, like lean protein, lots of vegetables, good clean complex carbohydrates. Eat the same type of foods, but just eat according to your activity level. So eat so that you don't feel like you're going hungry, right? If you're trying to build muscle and build strength, you should not feel hungry or depleted. You should feel comfortable. And it's amazing. Like once you get in tune with your body, that comfort level is very powerful. Like your body knows. Like your body will tell you when you're eating too much. It'll also tell you when you're not eating enough. So kind of get in tune with that comfort level, and it's that really works the best for both like a body recomposition from a building muscle and as well as a losing body fat side.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yep.
that's a topic. I mean, it's a deep topic, and of course something we we could keep going on and on with. But let's jump into some of the questions here that our live viewers have for us. Let's see. We have Gabriel joining in. This is a question, I believe. Let me see. I'll put that up on the screen. Mr. Gabriel Loops. Hello, Lee. Hello, Jeff. I've been on a full body for 3 months now. Starting to feel knee and shoulder pain during top sets. No injury, even with proper warm up, should say. Would you recommend stepping into a split? So, okay, he's doing full body workout and he's feeling some knee and shoulder pain. Would you recommend doing a split routine? I guess that's what he's referring to. Right? I would. And this is the way I like to look at that question there, or that situation. If something hurts, don't do it. Right? Like that's the general rule of thumb. If something hurts, don't do it. Try to find another exercise, another variation, or something to do instead. Like your body is very good at telling you these things if you just pay attention to it. So pain is like the check engine light flashing. Hey, something's not right here, dude. Right? That's the check engine light. So I would change it up. I mean, if there's particular exercises that's causing that pain or discomfort, possibly switch to another variations. Maybe if you're doing free weight shoulder presses and that hurts, try a machine shoulder press. If you're doing a barbell shoulder press and that hurts, maybe try a dumbbell. Like try something else, or maybe even try a different movement pattern entirely. Same with the squats. You know, if squats hurt, try leg presses or some other variation and see if that helps to alleviate the pain. How do you go about it, Jeff? Because I mean, obviously you've been training for years, and everybody goes through some aches and pains at some time or another.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I do exactly what you just said. I change it up. So I never push past pain. I mean, there's been times where I like foolishly I have, and it's led to just nagging, prolonged injuries that just won't go away. Like,
Mhm.
I remember about a year ago, I was doing dumbbell shoulder pressing, and I remember I was repping it out, and then I could feel something wasn't right, and foolishly I was like, machoism, like, oh, I haven't reached failure yet, so you're gonna keep going, right? And then I
Yeah.
kept going, and then I put the weights down, and then I woke up the next day and my shoulder was just like it was like frozen, and I was like, geez, well, that was dumb. So I mean, because then you have to go through all the rehab and everything with it, and
Mhm.
then being, especially with your shoulders too, right? Because you use your shoulders with so many, like every upper body movement.
Yeah.
So I had to like like gingerly walk around it for, I mean, months and months on end. And
Wow.
even now, like, I mean, a year later, I still can kind of feel it on certain days during certain pressing movements. So, I mean, I do the best I can warming it up, and I try to do all my like exercises for like external rotation and all that stuff to try to strengthen the rotator cuff and all that. But like, it's so dumb just thinking back on it now. It's like that one set that really wasn't worth it, pushing through
Mm,
that one set for a whole year worth of shoulder pain. So, but I dropped the dumbbell shoulder press and I moved on to a barbell shoulder press, and it feels way more comfortable for me.
okay.
And the most comfortable one I am actually doing now, I do a seated overhead press, and that I like that one because I like having the bench behind me and I can kind of press into it as I push up. But anyway, I mean, not to get off topic, but I just, if something doesn't feel right, leave it out. It's not, no short-term gain is worth the long-term nagging pain you're going to experience from pushing through pain.
No, I totally agree. And I keep rehashing this over and over again that the only thing that's going to set you back with your training is an injury. Like ultimately, that's the only thing, unless you just flat out quit. But I mean, like if you skip a workout, big deal, because you can always go back and work out the next day. Right? If you cheat on your diet, big deal. You can always clean it up for your next meal or the next day. You know, if you do an easy workout, big deal. You can always train harder the next day. Like it's none of these things are going to hinder your progress. But if you do too much and push beyond your limits and get injured, you're not bouncing back the next day. Right? That could take weeks. It could take months. Sometimes the rehab or that injury could lag and linger on for years. Right? Like that's the only thing that will really set you back is an injury. So he hasn't been injured yet. Like I'll just go back to his question there. He said he has no injury yet, right? In brackets, which is good. So you're aware of it. Like the check engine light is flashing. Now it's how you deal with those warning signs is really going to determine this. As for doing a split routine, that may or may not help. But one thing that a split routine will do in this case, because he's been doing full body workouts. Again, I don't know how many times a week he's doing full body, but let's just assume it's the 3 day per week full body routine, which is, pretty typical when people are doing full body. You're hitting those exercises and those muscle groups 3 times a week. So if he switches to a push pull legs or some sort of split like that, now you're hitting each of those muscle groups once a week, doing those movement patterns once a week. So maybe having a bit more recovery time will allow his body to, rest and recover instead of just aggravating it over and over again. But, I would first start with just changing the movement patterns first. I think that would be the big one. And then if you want to experiment with a different routine, I mean, you can certainly try it and see how it works. But as you say, gingerly walk through this phase here. Don't push beyond pain because he's walking the tightrope here. This is the knife's edge where this could make or break an injury happening right here. All right, let's move on. Keep this going. Sometimes we get yapping too much. We have Lee Dunnigan joining in. Says, I'm doing a max log lift at a strongman comp on Sunday. Do you have any advice on getting a good night's sleep the night before? I find the night before I overthink the lift. I can relate to that. Jeff, do you have trouble sleeping at all? Or if you have some big event coming up or something where you're putting yourself on the line the next day that you find it hard to sleep the night before, does that ever happen to you?
Truthfully, no. I sleep like a rock almost every night. You could ask my wife. It's infuriating to her because like
Really?
she'll be staring at the ceiling and I'll be asleep within 30 seconds.
Wow. Good for you, man. I'm jealous. I have some animosity towards you right now.
I'm sorry. I can't relate at all. I sleep like a rock.
I am not of that state. Right. I really am not, because my mind sometimes goes a mile a minute. And I've often found myself in a similar situation to what Lee was saying. Now, I'm not a strongman and I don't do strongman competitions or whatever, but I found with bodybuilding, back when I was doing powerlifting, when I have something, a competition, the night before, my sleep is shit, like just flat out. And I think it's, there's a bit of nervousness, there's a bit of anxiety there or whatever. What I find helpful, I mean, obviously in the days leading up to it, just focus on rest in general, because it's not just the night before you get some sleep. It's literally the week leading up to that, right? It really comes more so. Like you could have a poor night's sleep and still be able to perform pretty darn good. You even potentially hit some personal bests. I mean, I've done it, but you can't have prolonged sleep deprivation and perform at your best, right? Like you can have a little short term, like, oh, I didn't sleep great the night before, but you can still pull it off. But you want to try and make sure that you're getting good rest in the week leading up to it. Obviously, tapering your training down and just trying to rest in general. I find that's the most important thing versus the night before. And if you focus on that, it kind of takes some of the stress off the night before. And if you're it's weird because this is a catch-22 type of situation where he's worried that he's not going to get a good night's sleep the night before. And because he's worried he's not going to get a good night's sleep, guess what? He's not getting a good night's sleep. Like that anxiety is there. So just let it go. Like really try and let it go and not focus so much on that. and focus on the sleep leading up to it. Like even the days leading up will have a bigger impact. But if you have to, I mean, he says this competition was on Sunday, right? Just going back to the question here again. So this is Friday night. Hey, take it easy. Tonight, take it easy on Saturday. Even if you have to, get some naps in throughout the day on Saturday. Like this should be a pretty laid back weekend leading up until that competition. That's the way I would go about it, to try and ensure that you're maximizing your recovery. But I mean, I can relate to that, and I've still managed to pull off decent performances at events despite sleeping like shit the night before.
Yeah. I will say though that like if I do have something stressful coming up that I am worried about that's in the future, I do try to do things leading up to it that keep me in the moment and keep me present. So instead of worrying about what's going to happen ahead of time or what's already happened or something, like doing things like meditation, like deep breathing exercises,
Yeah.
or cardio too. That's another thing. Like I love going for like a bike ride. If my mind is really racing and I'm really worried about something, like if I go do like a spin class or a cardio session or something like that, like that's one thing I just love about exercise in general. It keeps me present and in the moment. And when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about what's happening or what's going to happen. I'm just thinking about what's happening then and then, there and then.
Right.
So like deep breathing exercises and things like that have really done. I mean, I practice that daily, and I do that before bed. I just lie on my back and I try to do some deep breathing from the diaphragm. And yeah, and I do that for 5 minutes every night before I go to bed. I even set a timer, and I try to make a habit of doing it. And
Okay.
it's done a lot for me. I mean, I really I can't say enough about it because it's really calmed me down and keeps me present and in the moment.
Nice. I like that. Thanks for sharing. I mean, there's a lot of uh, little hacks and strategies that we have. Like, I mean, I know some people find having some background noise, like a white noise machine. I mean, there's all kinds of meditation audios and relaxation audios that you can listen to, to kind of put you to sleep or put you in like even go on YouTube and search for like sleep meditation. There's gazillions of videos in that can help. But this is something that you really need to be kind of practicing in advance. It's not something like, oh, I got Sunday, I got to perform at my best, and I have a day, and think that you're going to pull out some strategy that's just going to hit the nail on the head. I mean, it may help, who knows, but it's something that you want to be consciously aware of to improve in general, not just for a particular event, like improve the quality of your sleep in general. But I sometimes utilize different things like that, like sleep audios and meditations and stuff to find, especially if your mind is racing, it just helps you to calm down and just take your mind off that present stress or whatever it is that you're going through. Kind of, similar to what you mentioned there. But I really don't want to throw any wrenches into the mix this soon to a competition, because it may backfire. See what else we got. So Mike says, just got over COVID. Now I'm struggling to get back in the gym. My mental health has now declined, which doesn't help. All right. Well, can't really help you with the mental health side of things. I mean, if that's for full openness and transparency, if that is an issue, talk to a professional, right? I mean, if in doubt, get it checked out. That's what I always say. And like, that's not something to take lightly. I mean, I respect you for having the courage to admit that here, but if that is a serious issue or something you're concerned with, talk to your doctor, talk to somebody who can get you the help you need. Like, don't push it under the rug, so to speak, and hopefully it goes away on its own. Like, that's something we want to deal with now before it becomes worse, right? Because issues like that just don't go away on their own. As far as COVID, well, Jeff, you we kind of mentioned that. Like, I mean, it wasn't a big setback for you. Now you've had it twice. How was it for you? I've never had it before, so I really can't speak from experience.
Yeah, the first time I had it, it wasn't fun. I mean, I had the body aches and a lot of other symptoms, and
Right.
it took me about a week to get back into the gym. And then when I did get back into the gym, I had lost a lot of strength in a lot of lifts. So, I mean, it took probably a good couple months, I'd say, for me to work back up to where I
Wow.
was again. Yeah. I mean, in terms of numbers and reps and things like that, I mean, I was consistently going and everything, but like, I mean, I didn't have the numbers that I had pre-COVID for probably a couple months. Yeah.
Wow.
And then even with this go of it, I have lost some strength. Like, I mean, I did a whole week of workouts this week, and I had lost some strength. I think one thing that's annoying about it is, this is the worst part, I think, is I get I would get tired really super quick.
Mm,
So um like I mean, like, I'm a musician, right? So I'm used to being up until like 2, 3 in the morning most nights, and it doesn't really bother me. But
yeah.
I'd get gassed at like 6:30 p.m. or 7 p.m. or something, like just
Right.
fatigue. And that was the worst. I hate that. Um,
Yeah.
because I work so hard to to I mean, be physically fit so that way I can have stamina and endurance throughout my day and everything. So it's infuriating when you get tired like that, you gas out so early.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah.
it's good that you're sharing that, because I mean that's something that I mean Mike can be prepared for. Like, don't go in there thinking you're going to duplicate what you were doing pre-COVID
No.
in your recovery week or whatever, or the week after. So, what I'd recommend in that situation for Mike is to really focus on like going through the motions. Like, it's almost like
Mm,
coming back to the gym after a layoff or whatever. Like, just give yourself permission to show up without any expectations or pressure. Like, don't say, well, I used to lift X amount of weight for this many reps, or who cares? Like, just you're in the moment now. Like, just be there now and go through the motions. Like, if you got to do a workout with all warm-up weights, then do a workout with all warm-up weights. Like, something's better than nothing, and just go through the motions, and then just focus on being better than that. So like, if
mhm,
like maybe you bench 200 pounds for 10 reps pre-COVID, and now you're struggling to lift 135. That's So be it. Like, accept it. That's where you're at. Focus on improving from where you are now, instead of beating yourself up over, oh, I used to be able to lift this much weight, or I used to be able
mhm,
to, run this far, this fast, or whatever. Like, just where are we at now? Focus, like, okay, let's move forward from here, and kind of like have that start again mentality, and don't beat yourself up over it. Like, this, we're always going to be going through ups and downs, right? There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be something coming up. I mean, right now it's COVID, and then it could be an injury later on down the road. It could be something else. Like, life is always going to be throwing you curveballs, and the shit's going to always hit the fan at some point or another. Right? It's not if it happens; it's when it happens, and when it happens, you got to be prepared for it, and just have that. You know what? It happened. Let's start again.
yeah,
Right? You know,
mhm,
I've been through multiple start agains myself in the 30 plus years that I've been involved with working out and fitness. So,
mm,
start again, right?
yeah.
What else we got there? Ibrar, I think the Ibrar. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Lee. Hi, Lee, my bro, and Jeff. I'm his bro,
Hey,
and you're Jeff. Jeff's
I'm
your
just
bro
Jeff.
too. Why not? Eddie's joining us. Eddie from Ireland. He says, I had a bypass 10 weeks ago. Is it possible to get to doing weights again? And he's 76. All right. Neither of myself or Jeff have had bypasses, and neither of us are 76, right? So we're just going to
Mhm,
say that this is something you really need to discuss with your doctor to see what it's possible. Now, I will say this: I've known people in the past who've come back from heart surgery and bypass and all that, and have gotten themselves back into fitness again. But this is something you need to really discuss with your family doctor. Like, we're not qualified to know when you're going to be able to do that. Is it possible? I'm going to say yes. I think it is possible. Is it? But again, don't take my word for it. Listen to your doctor and follow their advice. I'm sure they're going to be able to offer some specific suggestions for you when it comes to rehab, like whether it's physiotherapists or whatever, to help you get back to full mobility again.
mm.
Martin's he's a, oh, we're gone, Jeff. See ya. There we are. Martin just came on board with the Muscle After 40 blueprint, so we'll be seeing more of him. Right? I just recently chatted with him. He's a local guy. He's a Newfoundlander, so he just came on board. And he says, Martin Hurley from Mount Pearl says, looking forward to getting started on the Muscle After 40 program. He donated blood today, a good deed before focusing on losing a full stack of potatoes. He wants to lose 50 pounds. So he's relating it to a 50-pound bag of potatoes. That's what it is. Ordering a body composition weight scale. Is there a recommended model by the coaches? Hope this helps track my body fat ratio and improvements. All right. So I'm going to put that away so I can see your face, Jeff. There we go. Do you have a particular body fat scale or that you use for tracking? Or like what do you use for your progress?
I found the cheapest possible scale I could find at Target, and that was the one that went in the cart, and that's the one I've been using for the past 5 years.
Okay.
So it's the one with it's the one with the red dial, you know, that just goes like whoop.
Okay.
Super cheap. Yeah. No, I don't.
Fair enough.
I don't have the body composition thing because I mean I don't. I mean, from my understanding, I mean, you'll know more about this than I do, Lee, but like, there's really no like a very super accurate way of tracking body fat measurements. I mean, is that correct to say? Like, I go by how in the mirror, like how I look in the mirror, and then I track my weight.
Right, and again, it depends. Like this is a lot of things. It depends. Back in the day, the electronic body fat testers and these scales that used to track your body composition, they're very hit and miss. I mean, I remember getting one years ago when they started to become popular, and it was just all over the place. I remember standing on it and it came back saying like I was 30 something percent body fat, and I was like, there's no way I'm 30 something percent body fat. I mean, I knew I wasn't ripped by any stretch, but like I think it was like 32 or whatever. It was really high. And then I asked my wife, I said, you stand on it and see what you're coming back as. And she stood on it and she got her readings. And I said, let me try it again. And I got on it again and I was like 28% body fat like 5 minutes later. And like, okay, like, that's great. That's great progress. I just lost.
Yeah. What program is that? I got to get on that program.
Yeah, right. This is the really good fat loss program. But bottom line, like it seemed like I'd step on it and it was all over the place. There was no consistency to it. So we just returned and wasn't happy with it. And I got a basic scale that just records your weight, and that's what I've been focusing on myself. But with that being said, I have talked to some of the guys in our program who have gotten some of the more modern body fat scales, and they say it's actually in comparison to what they're getting using a skinful caliper, and it's consistent, right? So that's the most important thing. Like regardless of the number, you want consistency. And obviously when I used my old one that I had years ago, there was no consistency. I went from 32 to 28 in 5 minutes. Like that's not accurate. But if you get one, let's just say it spits out your 20% body fat and it's consistently showing that, and then you can actually, as you lose a bit of weight and you get on it now you're down to 19% or 18% body fat, and you're seeing the numbers correlate to what you actually think, then you can use that as a tool for monitoring your progress. But in my case, I'm a lot like you, Jeff, in that I just use the plain old scale. I don't have the dial one. I got a digital one, right? Stepped it up a notch. Fancy, right? We're moving on. Right. But I have a digital scale, and I use that as my benchmark. And that one is quite accurate. And another thing, I'm going to share this. When you're weighing yourself with the scale, you want to try different floor surfaces and see the one that gives you the most consistent reading. Because this is something I've noticed with several of our coaching students in the program. Like they might weigh themselves, on a carpeted surface or a hard tile surface or a wood surface, and the numbers could actually change depending on the surface. So try and get a good, solid, level, hard floor, not carpet or a mat or cushion floor or anything like that. A good, hard floor surface to weigh yourself, and make sure that the scale is level, that is, not rocking or whatever, because little things like that can skew your results. Right. And whether it skews it making you think you're making progress or skews it to make it show that you're heavier than you actually are. So little tips like that go a long way.
Mm.
But what I do is I focus on just the weight on the scale and then the measurements. So I've got, I don't know if I have it here with me right now, probably not, but I got a tape measure. One of those tape measures that you can actually click it into itself, so you can do self measurements for your body parts. And I focus on measuring my waistline, right around my belly button, and then right around where I wear my pants, right around the hip line there, where my belt would sit, if you will. I use two of those as guidelines for when it comes to fat loss. And I'll also use a skin fold caliper, the little pinch ones like an AccuMeasure or something similar to that. And I don't get hung up on trying to calculate a body fat percentage. I measure the thickness. So I'll usually right 1 inch above my hip bone, I'll measure a skin fold thickness. And then right next to the belly button, the thick chunk of meat right there next to your belly button. That's usually the magnet for most guys. And I'll measure those two areas. And all I'm focusing on is when I'm training for fat loss, I want to see obviously the number on the scale moving in the right direction. And I want to see my waistline measurements going down. And I want to see those skin fold measurements going down. And if they're moving in the right direction, then I know I'm on the right track. And I don't really get hung up on, oh, I'm 10% body fat, I'm 8% body fat, I'm whatever. Because the percentage number will vary greatly on the method of testing you use, right? Like, I've heard DEXA scans given certain numbers, and then someone else will go get a underwater weighing and they'll get a different number, and then they'll do a bod pod and get another number. And like, don't get hung up on the number, right? Just focus on the progress. So that's how I go about it myself. And that's what I'd recommend for Martins. Because some people wear their body fat percentage as a badge of honor, like, because they do a certain test and it comes back really low. And oh, well, I'm only 10% body fat, but you look at them like, dude, you're still fat. Like, meaning you still got weight to lose. And people carry weight differently. Like, I've seen some guys, they might not have any weight on their midsection, but then you see their back and their legs or somewhere else, and they might, store fat elsewhere, or vice versa. Some people might have really lean limbs, like lean legs, lean arms, lean chest and shoulders, and then they just got, a muffin top and love handles around the midsection. So, it's focus on progress and not getting hung up on the specific number, if that makes sense. And getting back to what you said as well, Jeff, it's ultimately like what you look like and how you feel, right? If you look good, you're wearing take your shirt off and you're happy with what you see, who cares what the number is?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like last weekend, I was at a bodybuilding show. Actually, was MC for our local provincial bodybuilding championships. The judges aren't getting up on stage with scales and calipers and body fat testers. They're looking at you. Who looks the best? That's all that matters, right? All right, moving on. So again, thanks, Martin, for that question. And again, looking forward to chatting with you more inside of our Muscle After 40 VIP group. Lisa's joining us. As a woman trying to gain muscle, it's very hard to ignore the scale. I hate that I worry about how much I weigh. All right. Jeff, have you ever had mental blocks around the scale, or know people who have?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And the
Okay.
scale, but it goes back to what you were just saying, though, about how you don't want to get too wrapped up into the number, because the number doesn't really matter. It's like, how are you happy with how you look? If you are, then who cares what the number is? And the number fluctuates from day to day anyway. Like, there's
Right.
days where you wake up and you might be 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds heavier than you were the day before, just because of maybe what you ate the night before, or there's more water in your system, or bloat or something. So going by a number is really, it's arbitrary. There's no reason to obsess about it so much. And I try not to worry about it. I mean, I do track my weight as just kind of like just to have an idea, like a ballpark idea of what I weigh. But I take it for what it is. I know it's not 100% accurate, and I don't worry about it, and I don't stress about it. I try to take progress pictures, and I try to compare who I was before and what I am today. And and I go by that, and I don't get hung up with numbers so much.
Nice. I like that. And the thing we got to realize with the numbers, like the scale numbers and all this, it's a moving target. Like our weight is never static. A lot of people think it's static, like especially if you only weigh yourself sporadically, like you stand on the scale and you're whatever, you're 150 pounds. And then you think, oh, well, then you go around, well, I'm 150 pounds. No, you were 150 pounds the moment you stepped on that scale. The minute you go have a glass of water, now you're 150.5 pounds.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go work out at the gym, now you could be 149 pounds because you just sweat off a couple pounds or something. If you go do a big poop, you just lost a half a pound there. You know what I mean? Like your weight is up and down all the time. And a lot of people don't realize this. They think their weight is whatever it was the last time they stepped on the scale, but it's a moving target. It's always changing. One of the guys in our group actually mentioned this. He said, "Oh, I lost 5 pounds since yesterday." And like that's happening all the time. Generally, we're our lightest weight in the morning after an overnight fast. And then after all day of eating and drinking and whatever, you tend to probably hit your peak later in the evening before you go to bed. And that could easily fluctuate 5 pounds or more, depending on the individual and how big you are. Obviously, the bigger you are, the bigger the fluctuation. But 5 pounds is a kind of an average target for most people. And the thing we want to focus on is looking at it like try and look at your weight from a third person perspective and not get emotionally attached to the number. And I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but the way I like to look at it is imagine we're investing in the stock market, right? Like the stock prices, some days are up, some days are down. We don't care about the day-to-day fluctuations. We look at the trend. Like where is this moving over the long term? Is it going, is the spike, the dips and the highs and the lows, is it high and low going up, or is it high and lows, but the trend is going down? And look at the trend and focus on that. So instead of getting hung up on, oh, I gained a pound today, I lost a pound today, or whatever, look at where's it going over the long term, and look at it from a, over the course of a month, over the course of 3 months, a year, whatever, like the long-term trend. And I think that'll help to put your mind at ease when it comes to the weight. Another thing we should mention too is when gaining muscle, like you can gain muscle and lose fat simultaneously. So the scale may not move a lot, but you could still improve your body composition. Right? Have you experienced this? I mean, going through your transformation journey?
Yeah. I mean, I lost 70 pounds. I got down, my leanest was, I got down to like 168 or something like that, 167, 168. And then once that was when I was being very, very restrictive. And then once I kind of eased up a little bit on that, I mean, I've been in the mid 170s now, low 180s now for like the past probably 2 years.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, I mean, I've been staying pretty steady in my weight. So yeah.
But you're still making progress at that weight, meaning you can still improve your body composition while still staying within weight range.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. It goes back to what we were saying before, right? It's like if rapid weight changes and stuff like that are they're not good. If
No.
you're gaining weight too quickly, then you're putting on body fat. And
Yeah.
if you're losing weight too quickly, you're not doing it in a healthy way.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree there.
Mhm.
Sean joining in. Hello, you good? I'm good. You good, Jeff?
I'm good. I got a time for one more though, Leah. Then I
Okay.
gotta go.
All right. But Jeff has a gig tonight. Where are you playing to tonight?
I'm playing at Ludlow, Vermont.
Ludlow, Vermont. Okay. We got
Yeah,
a meal.
you ever been there, Lee?
No, I have not. I've never
Yeah,
been to Vermont. All right.
most people haven't.
I'll have to come visit sometime.
Would love that.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to do that. We got Emil joining in. This Emil he's the chief over at the Dad Bod Transformation Facebook group, right? Which we're both participate on over there. I'm one of the resident coaches over on Dad Bod Transformation. So Emil's joining in. Nice to have you checking out the video chat. Big shout out to him in the Dad Bod Transformation group. Let's see. Let's try and get a good question here, and then if Jeff has to skedaddle, and then I'll probably continue on. So there's a lot of questions here. What's Arnold saying? My weight was 100 kilos. 1.85 meters. I benched 100 kilos for 8 reps. I went on a diet, lost 12 kilograms, is 87 kilograms now, and he benches 95 for 8 reps. I knew that beforehand I would lose strength. My problem is lower belly fat. How can I get rid of my lower belly fat? All right, so first off, I'll just quickly acknowledge this question, this part here. When you lose weight, you may very often lose some of your peak strength, especially in those big lifts, your bench presses and your squats and your deadlifts. Have you noticed that yourself, Jeff? Or in your situation, like when you started your weight loss portion of your journey, you really weren't training, were you?
I really wasn't what? Sorry.
Like when you started to lose weight, when you were at your all-time heaviest, like you weren't in the gym working out, like you weren't the big fat bulked up bodybuilder.
I was bulking and working out. Yeah, no, I was lifting
Okay,
weights.
you were. I'm sorry about
Oh
that.
yeah.
I thought you started working out at the same time you started to lose weight, but you said you were working out before then as well?
Yeah, I mean, like in my own like program type of way where it's yeah, it's not like a structured program where I was
Okay.
like making significant progress. I mean, I had some previous weight training experience, but I mean it was very minimal, so I was just going with what I knew.
Got
But no, I can relate to what he's saying though. Like when I when I started losing the weight, I did start losing strength. And I remember reaching out to you and actually being concerned about it and
it. Mhm.
being like, I'm losing weight, which is great, but like my numbers are going down, like way down. Like what's happening? And I mean, you assured me it's like, well, there's just less of you. So because there's less because there's less of you pushing the weight, naturally there's yeah,
Yeah.
the numbers are going to go down a little bit. So but I mean, I was pushing bigger weight at that time, I guess, but I look like shit. So so why did it matter?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But that's a good point. And generally speaking, as you lose weight, you have less mass, and sometimes it affects your leverages as well. So and you got to think of it like as you're losing weight, you're also probably depleting some of your muscle glycogen, and you just don't have as much energy in reserve. Like you're kind of in a calorie deficit. So you don't have as much oomph for your workouts when you're in a calorie deficit as when you're eating as much as you want. Your glycogen levels are full and all that. So it is normal. It's not wrong, or it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong when you do lose weight and you're focusing on fat loss in a calorie deficit and you see your strength numbers go down. Um, that's usually part of the process. You'll very often see that. But again, that's not his main issue here. His big one is, how can I get rid of my lower belly fat? And you'd have to keep losing weight. I mean, you still have more fat to lose, bottom line. And I remember, Jeff, we had conversations of this when you were on your fat loss journey. Like, I'm making progress, but I'm not there yet.
Mm.
Do you remember those messages back and forth in the early days?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, that
touch
was
on.
the last of it for me. Yeah, like getting rid of the lower belly fat, that's the hardest part.
Mhm.
And even when I was at my absolute leanest and I was trying to be, and I was very restrictive with my diet. I mean, I had visible abdominal definition, but like I still had a little bit of lower belly fat. I mean, that's just where I hold it. Like, you were
Right.
saying before, like I genetically just hold it in my lower belly. So I mean, unless I'm going to be like contest shredded, like I'm always going to have a little bit of lower belly fat. So,
Hmm.
um, but it doesn't bother me really at all. I mean, I'm still very lean. I got a 4 pack. It's not a 6 pack, but I got a 4 pack, and that's good enough.
There you
So,
go.
because it's not sustainable to be that restrictive for that long, and to have, at least for me in my case, right, to get rid of that lower belly fat and be totally peeled. It's like for what? Like I'm gonna life is gonna be so hard, and it's gonna be restrictive. It's not gonna be enjoyable or sustainable. And it's like what? Just so I could see two more abs on the bottom part of my of, of my stomach? Like it's not worth it. If I sometimes like though, if I'm like going on like a beach vacation or
Mhm.
something like that, and I want to lean down for like a particular occasion, like it's easy when you're like when you're already very lean and then you just want to get just a little bit leaner just for like a specific occasion, as opposed to being like, bulked up and then having to drop like 50 or 60 pounds or something like that. So
Yeah, that's beyond bulked up. That's fat.
that's fat. Yeah, that's fat. Yeah. But
Bulked in a
yeah,
friendly way.
yeah, but I like to be in the ballpark is what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Like I'm within like 5-10 pounds of like having those lower abs if I wanted them, but like it's not important to me anymore. I don't care about that.
Yeah. And that's important to find like where you're happy with, finding that line of, okay, I'm good enough. I'm happy with my physique. Yeah, it could be better, but I'm happy with it. But I also enjoy the process of maintaining and sustaining this, because you can push the limit and get super shredded, i.e., like contest photo shoot shredded, but very few people can sustain that comfortably, right? Unless you're a genetically just have super low body fat and you can maintain it, but most people can't. Very few people can, and they have to have a you like you said, the 4-pack versus the 6-pack. Most people can sustain that and enjoy the process and feel good and have strength and energy and not feeling like they're hungry and starving themselves all the time. But the bottom line here for Arnold, like he's lost some weight, he's on his journey. If you really want to just lose that lower belly fat, you just simply have to keep doing what you're doing, continue it on, because you will get lean in your arms and your legs and your chest, and like all the extremities will get lean first, and you still like that lower belly fat is kind of like the last to go for guys.
Yep.
For women, it's often the it can change. Women tend to store it in their hips and thighs. I've seen women before, especially when I was training like competitive bodybuilders and figure athletes and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like two different bodies connected at the waist. I've seen ladies with literally 6-pack abs and cellulite on their hips and thighs. Like different bodies connected at the waist. That's what it's like. So we all have our stubborn areas in that area. But bottom line, just have the secret to fat loss is not so much dieting harder, but dieting longer.
Yeah. All right, Lee. I got to get going.
All right, man. Well, thanks for tuning in. Like I say, I always appreciate your feedback and insights, and we'll hopefully do another one of these very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. All right. See you later.
Right. See you, Jeff. Take care. All right. So I'm still going to hang out here for a little while because we got a ton of questions coming through. And we were a few minutes late getting started because we had some audio issues. All right. So let us keep going. Got Emil's saying, I think we were talking about the sleep issue earlier on, saying that's my wife, but not me. She can drink a cup of coffee right before bed, and yet she is sleeping. I wish I could do that. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying that I have bad sleep, but it's not sleep like a log sleep. And Emil says he doesn't track his sleep anymore. In my situation, I find, especially since I've become a father, for those of you who are parents, you can probably relate to this. If my son stirs in the nighttime, I hear it, right? Like it's like I got I don't know, a direct line, right? So if he kicks or screams or talks in his sleep or whatever, I hear it, and it kind of wakes me up. And I find like that's common for a lot of parents, especially if you got young kids at home. So I've noticed that since I became a father, my depth of sleep is not as deep anymore. Like it's rare for me to sleep through him, making a noise or whatever. I usually, if he stirs or if he gets up to go to the bathroom or something, very often I hear it and I actually wake up. Now, I'm able to fall back to sleep again quite easily, but I just find I'm a lighter sleeper since I've become a parent. Well, maybe some of you can relate. Moving on, let's see what we got there. Robert is joining in. Robert's a regular to these chats. He says, I like doing the seated machine shoulder press. Can I still build good shoulders with just the machine? Absolutely. It's still resistance. You're still placing progressive overload on the muscle. You're still training. Like, don't get caught up in this, oh, it has to be free weights. It's resistance. It really is. Like if you make strength gains with a machine, it's still legitimate strength gains. You're still stronger than you were before. You can still make progress. Now, I mean, you can still utilize free weights, free weight exercises as well. But if you prefer machine exercises and you enjoy it, and by all means do it. And I'm gonna be totally honest. At this stage of my training, where I'm at now, I do mostly machine exercises. I mean, I'll still throw in some free weight movements from time to time, but the majority of my workouts are machines. And that's fine because one, they're safer. There's less risk of injury. You can train by yourself with a machine. You don't need a spotter. Right? I mean, like the worst thing that's going to happen is, oh, I have to put the weight back down on the machine again. Like I'm not going to get pinned under a barbell. For example, a chest press machine. If I hit failure with a chest press machine, big deal. I just get up from the machine. If I hit failure with a bench press and a barbell across my chest, if you're by yourself, you're in trouble. So you don't need a spotter with machine, and there's less risk of injury because again, the machine is keeping you in the movement line it's not going to twist or wobble or throw you off position. So the risk of injury is less with machines. Not saying there's no risk of injury. Don't get me wrong. There's still a risk of injury, but it's less. So I do more machines in my workouts these days, and I'm totally fine with that. Right? I'm not trying to compete in powerlifting or strongman or Olympic lifting or anything like that. I'm just trying to be lean and healthy and fit and mobile in my second half of life. Right? I think once you get beyond 40, you're into the second half of life. So I want to maximize it and live life to the fullest with the least risk of injury and enjoy the process. So yeah, machine exercises are fine for that. You're epic. Thanks. Appreciate the pat on the back and then the boost of support there. Lee Dunnigan, can you recommend an alternative sauces and olive oil on food? I do use extra virgin olive oil, but I use far too much. I struggle with eating dry food. Thanks. Okay. Oil is tricky, right? Oil is so calorie dense. Regardless of the oil, even if it's olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, extra virgin, or if it's just plain old lard, it's the same calories. It's 9 calories per gram. And from a calories in, calories out point of view, it's the same, right? So you want to keep your calories in check. And fat and oils are one that can easily be overdone. It's so easy to go overboard with them. And the thing is you can consume them and not realize you consumed them, right? Like they can be sneaky calories, right? Where you don't really notice them. So you want to be extra careful with that. Like, for example, when I'm cooking, very often I'm using like a nonstick frying pan, or I'm baking, or I'm grilling. If I do need to use oil when I'm cooking, I use very little. I like the sprays, like the PAM spray, because you can control it. There's still fat and calories in these nonstick cooking sprays, despite what the labels often say. Like, this is a pet peeve of mine. The label says, oh, this is 0 calories and 0 fat. And then you look at the serving size, it says, and the serving is 0.1 of a second. Like, who can physically count out 0.1 of a second on a can of spray, right? Bottom line, there's still fat and calories in the spray, but you're using less of it than if you're pouring oil into the pan, right? Or you're using butter or lard or whatever it is you use. So I like the cooking sprays because it's a way to control the amount of fat that you use, and you can usually get away with less and still get the benefit of nonstick, food not sticking to the frying pan. As far as sauces, there's a lot of things available these days. If you just go looking, and like, there's various low sugar, low calorie sauces. One that I really like, it's G. Hughes. Got some nice barbecue sauces and different, a whole line of them, but they're low in sugar, low in calories, and they're actually very thick and tasty. And they have this like a xanthan gum base, and xanthan gum is a fiber that helps to thicken up sauces and things like that, and it makes them feel like there's some substance there, but it still keeps the calories low, right? So you'll see that's a really good one. G. Hughes, Walden Farms is another one. Like, usually going to a health food store or a supplement store, or even just searching on Amazon, you can see some of these alternatives. And even the best thing to do as well too, like, ask around in your local area. Like, obviously, if you go to your local supplement store, or ask around at your local gym or whatever, local friends on Facebook, to see what's available in your area, because it may vary depending on where you live, what you have available when it comes to these type of things. But there's a lot of low calorie, low sugar, low fat food alternatives, seasoning alternatives to make your food taste better. And then, of course, we have some just normal condiments that are naturally low in calories and low in sugar. Soy sauce adds a lot of flavor, very few calories. Salsa adds a lot of flavor, very few calories. Hot sauce, same thing, very low calories. Mustard, vinegar, a lot of flavor, low calorie. So you can use these, to taste and pretty much not worry about the calories. The ones that you got to be careful of, the high sugar sauces, so your ketchup and your barbecue sauces and oils and creams and things like that nature. You want to be careful with those, or look for the low calorie, low sugar alternatives. So like I get sugar-free ketchup that's made with a 0 calorie sugar substitute. Again, they get the sugar-free barbecue sauces, and I go easy on the oil there when I'm cooking, right? Using the spray instead of pouring oil into the pan. So those are some things that you can do to just add some flavor. And of course, another one we should mention as well, dry spices, like garlic and herbs, salt and pepper, chili peppers, lemon pepper, whatever, cinnamon, all these type of dry spices, go to the spice rack. Like you can add dry spices to your food to taste, add a lot of flavor, and just small amounts of calories. So those are other options that you can certainly add in to make your meals more enjoyable. Moving on, let's see what else. We got Hybrid joining in. Lee Hayward, when you did powerlifting, did you use GPP workouts? If so, how did you go about doing them, fitting them into your week without interfering with the main workout days? All right, I'm going to decipher this question for the benefit of the people who are not powerlifters. GPP is general physical preparedness, which is basically just functional stuff. Functional exercise, non-heavy lifting stuff. So it could be going for a walk. It could be using cardio machines at the gym. It could be pushing or pulling a weighted sled, using a rowing machine, a cardio rowing machine, that is. Going for a bicycle ride, like anything like this, just improving your overall fitness ability. Doing yoga or stretching and mobility work could be considered GPP, general physical preparedness. That's what it stands for. This was a term I heard it from the guys over like Louis Simmons and Dave Tate and the guys over on Westside Barbell and Elite Fitness Systems. This is where that's where I got a lot of my powerlifting information from back in the day, from those guys. So I basically used kind of made my own template using the Westside Barbell method. I tried several different methods, but I found that one was the most effective for me. So like using their template of the dynamic effort days and then the max effort days, and then incorporating some general physical preparedness work in there, I found that worked well for me. The big thing, like about fitting it in without interfering with your main workout days, is if you're going to push yourself or test your strength with a lift, like you're going to do a max effort squat or deadlift or bench or whatever, I mean, obviously leading up to that, you're not going to be killing yourself with a lot of, extra activity. I would kind of save this for those days when I wasn't pushing or testing myself, or like wasn't competing. Now I didn't compete much, right? For full transparency, I only did one powerlifting meet, but I trained with powerlifters. And of course, when you're training with powerlifters, when you do a group workout, that feels like a meet in some cases, but I only actually got on the true lifting platform once. So I, by no means am I a seasoned powerlifter, right? Don't even, so don't get any grand ideas that, oh, Lee's some powerlifting guru, because no, I'm not. I did a meet, right? I've done 14 bodybuilding competitions, but I've only done one powerlifting meet, right? So I'm more familiar with the bodybuilding side of things than I am with the powerlifting. But how I would incorporate that stuff is I would use it in my general training. But if I'm peaking for something, or I want to perform at a high level, for whether it's a testing my strength, or when I did a meet, I wouldn't be doing that in the days leading up to it. You know, I'd save it for when I was in my regular training phase, in my building phase, if you will. And then when you're peaking, obviously you're tapering down a lot of that stuff so that you're just maximizing your recovery and focusing on the key things that need the most attention. We have AG. I can't pronounce that name, but we got from Greece. Welcome. Nice to have you joining in. I guess it must be pretty late over in Greece right now. I recognize your name from the Lose Your Gut Challenge, and I know back when we did the Lose Your Gut Challenge, I think I called you AG there because I butchered your name when I tried to pronounce it in our live videos that we did back then. The Goat 727. I will donate $10 if you say hi or banana. Well, I just said both, right? Imagine if you could make $10 every time you said hi or banana. I mean, how many times a day would you say hi or banana if you got $10 every time you did it? Anyway, there, hi and banana. Whether I get $10, I don't know. I'd appreciate it if you did. I mean, hey, who wouldn't want $10? But moving on. Let's see what else we got there. AG saying he's following my advice and steadily losing weight. Awesome. Love to hear it. Good for you, my friend. The thy vir dome come. I guess I would say at least a set of free weights is essential for maintaining co-strength balance and such. Doesn't matter if it's done with light weights. Free weights do have their place. I'm not saying that they're a must-have. I mean, you can still make progress with body weight and machine exercises as well. But you know what? Free weights certainly do have their place. And from powerlifting or athletic performance, you know, there certainly is a place to put them in there. And I got to be honest, like back when I was in my bodybuilding days, I did a lot of, you know, the core foundation exercises with free weights, you know, your bench presses and your squats and your rows and your deadlifts and overhead presses and all that. You know, a lot of people refer to it as power bodybuilding, right? Because you're kind of somewhat training for strength and power, but you're still incorporating a lot of bodybuilding exercises there. But I like the combination of both because free weights in and of themselves, you're very limited, meaning like you can only lift weight against gravity in one direction, barbells, dumbbells. Like, yes, there's a lot of stuff you can do with barbells and dumbbells, but once you add in machines, now you can work from different angles, different positions, different planes of motion. It's not just lifting weight linearly up and down. Now you can train, like for example, you can train your legs in different positions, like a leg extension and a leg curl. You know, you can do a leg press, you know, inner and outer thigh machines, you know, tricep push downs, lat pull downs. So like all these different movement patterns that are very hard to duplicate with free weights, the machines open up the doors for so much more. So that's why virtually all top level bodybuilders, and for that matter, all top level athletes these days, you'll see them utilizing free weights and machines and not just getting hung up in the, oh, free weights are the best, that's all you need to use, right? They usually have the well-balanced approach in incorporating the best of both worlds. We have Bill joining in. Hi, Lee. For an overlifter over 40, you're only a young guy if you're over 40. What's your opinion on frequency per body parts? 1 time a week per muscle group, twice, like you just want to stay in great shape and healthy? Thanks, Bill. It depends on your fitness level and your experience and all that, but I'll just share my experience and what I'm doing because I'm kind of over 40 and I just want to stay in great shape and be healthy. So I kind of fit the bill of what Bill just explained. I do a lot of total body workouts. That's usually what I focus on, total body. And I like total body because it allows you to train frequently and it allows me to do a little bit for a lot of muscles. And I like that idea of just going in there and doing a little bit, stimulate, rest, recover, grow, stimulate, rest, recover, grow, versus going in there and annihilating a single body part on a body part split. Right now, again, I'm not saying that one is right or wrong, good or bad. It's just personal preference and what works best for you in your situation. So I like going in there and doing a total body workout and then being able to recover the next day and not feel painfully sore in any one area. Like I don't want my legs so sore after leg day that I can't climb a flight of stairs and it hurts to sit on the toilet to do a poo. Like that ain't fun. Or my arms and shoulders are so sore after shoulder day that I can't lift my arm up to brush my teeth, right? Oh God, my delts are killing me, right? Just train 30 sets of delts on shoulder day or whatever. I don't like that delayed onset muscle soreness that you get when you go in there and you just annihilate a body part on a body part split. I like doing a little bit, rest, recover, grow, a little bit, rest, recover, grow. And I find that because it doesn't leave me feeling painfully sore the next day. So then I'm able to do other things. I'm able to get outside and go for a bike ride, or I'm able to go take my son to the park and run around and chase him and keep up without feeling like I'm beat up. I just find that works best for me is doing total body workouts where I just pick, maybe one exercise for each muscle group and just kind of go through it that way. And what I'll do is I'll change it up. So how I get variety is, okay, I'll do my total body workout with a series of exercises for this workout. And then the next one, I'm going to do total body again, but I'm going to choose different exercises. And that's how I get the variety, and it just keeps it fun and interesting. Another plus that I like with the total body system is if you get busy and you miss a workout, it's not really going to upset the overall balance. Because if I'm doing 3 total body workouts and I end up missing a day, oh, big deal. I still got 2 total body workouts. I still hit all my major muscle groups twice. So I'm still making progress. Whereas if you're following a body part split and you end up missing a day or two, it can throw off your split. And then you go like a week or more without hitting that same muscle group again. And you end up having long gaps between stimulating the muscles. So I prefer shorter, more frequent total body workouts versus the body part split. But it's what works for me. And that's literally what I've been doing since in my whole muscle after 40 journey. Since this started, that's what I prioritized. I mean, yes, from time to time, I've went back to a body part split, but I say, you know what? I prefer the total body. I keep coming back to it over and over again. So literally for the past, 5 years or so, I would say 90% of my workouts have been total body workouts for the last 5 years. We have Robert joining in from Winnipeg, Manitoba, fellow Canadian. Welcome, Robert. Glad to have you tuning in. We have Neil joining in. He says, Lee, I find that when I tuck my knees forward, I find it easier when I'm doing weighted pull-ups. How is that so? Also, is it necessary to have the chest touch the bar? You can play around with your position. Tuck your knees forward. I'm not sure, unless you mean like pulling your knees to your chest or whatever. But you can experiment with that. I mean, maybe you're putting your body in a more mechanically advantageous position and it makes you feel stronger. And you'll notice this, like when you're doing any exercise, like depending on how you arch your back or how you position your body, certain positions will feel better for certain people. Like for example, with the bench press, right? Instead of just plopping your body flat down on the bench, like if you retract your shoulder blades and puff your chest out, and create that natural curvature in your spine, it puts you in a stronger mechanical position to bench. Same when you're doing, other exercises. So in the case of the, what was it again? The pull-up, maybe when you're tucking your knees, that's putting your body in a more mechanically stronger position to perform the pull-up. I mean, technically, I'd need to see what the heck you're doing to fully understand what it is, because I'm just reading a comment here and you're saying you're tucking your knees and it's making you stronger. But, if it's working, keep doing it, right? I mean, if it feels good, it feels comfortable, you don't get any aches or pains and it makes you stronger, then, hey, utilize that new position, right? You've learned something new, take advantage of it. Is it necessary to have your chest touch the bar when you're doing pull-ups? No, most people do not touch their chest to the pull-up bar. If you can, that's great, but it's not necessary. A lot of people use the range of motion where they focus on chin up, right? If the chin is up over the bar, that's a rep. That's usually where most people count it, when you're doing pull-ups, aka chin-ups. But if you can go all the way, touch your chest to the bar, well, that's just going to give you a bit more of a peak contraction, and there's certainly nothing wrong with it. I mean, you can strive to do that, but where I would end the set, if you get to the point where you can no longer get your chin over the bar with good form, you basically hit failure. I would end the set at that point. And that's the way I would do my workouts. Like when I'm doing pull-ups, if I get to the point where I can no longer get my chin to clear the bar, I've hit muscular fatigue, right? I mean, there's no point in pushing beyond that limit at that stage. So that's how I benchmark it. But I mean, if you're strong enough to fully touch your chest, then by all means, go for it. Do it. I know Jeff, who we had on the chat earlier, he's really good at pull-ups, and he can do chest to the bar pull-ups with good form. It's nice, slow, and controlled. It's an exercise he's really mastered. Can we talk anabolics? Well, I'm not a doctor and can't really. I mean, post a question if you got a question. I mean, I'll see if I can help you, and if not, I'll try and point you in the right direction to someone who can. But feel free. AG saying started at 100 kilograms, now a month after the Lose Your Gut Challenge, down to 95.5, so 4.5 kilos in the past month. Good job, man. That's respectable progress. I mean, that's a lot. That's bottom line. That's close to 10 pounds. Probably is 10 pounds if I broke out the calculator. I mean, it's 2.2 pounds in a kilo. So yeah, you're basically 10 pounds, which is great progress. But I'm going to give you the heads up. That rapid rate of fat loss is not going to continue, because a lot of the initial weight you lose when you start improving your exercise and eating habits and all that, it's going to be some water, it's going to be some intestinal bloat, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just pure body fat. It's not like you lost 10 pounds of pure body fat. Right? Some of that initial weight is water. Some of it's going to be intestinal bloat. Some of it's going to be because now you're in a caloric deficit. You've depleted your glycogen to a certain degree. So it's a combination of things, including body fat. Don't get me wrong. There's still body fat loss in there as well. But now what you're going to have happen is, as you progress, you're going to get into burning just pure body fat. So the rate of fat loss is happening at a slower rate than the initial weight loss that you see once you start, cleaning things up. We got Jeff back again. He's listening in the car. All right, so Jeff is driving to Vermont now to play a gig, and he is listening in the car. All right. Oh, I don't know if we can tune you in. I don't think we can, because obviously he's listening on his phone, and I think we need to be on a computer to have him join into the live stream. But welcome, Jeff. Drive safe. 2 hands on the wheel. All right. Don't get distracted by me. Let's see what else we got there. Robert says, I don't usually train legs, but I gave it a shot to see where I am at anyway. And I worked up to 7 45-pound plates aside on the hack squat. How long before I could do 10 plates aside if I train legs once a week? I don't know. I mean, what you did, I mean, I understand where you're coming from and all that, but that's not smart. I would never recommend someone to do that. Like, you never train legs, but hey, for the hell of it, let's just see how heavy I can go. That's asking for an injury. Now, thankfully, you didn't get injured and all that, but that's usually where injuries happen. When people just go in there and say, hey, I wonder what I can do. Like, guys never worked out a day in their life, and they say, hey, let's go to the bench press and see how much you can bench, right? And they plop themselves down and they slap a couple plates on each side and then staple to the bench and blow out a rotator cuff in the process. Or in your case, you're squatting. I mean, you could have blew out a knee, right? You could have snapped a patella tendon or something. I mean, like, it's the risk of injury. You could have threw out your back. Like, the risk of injury to seeing how much you can lift. Like, at the end of the day, knowing that you can lift 7 45-pound plates versus the potential of blowing out a knee or a back, I mean, the risk to reward is not in your favor, in my opinion. Right now, maybe it is in yours, I don't know, but in my opinion, I would never ever recommend that. If someone's going to start a new exercise or start training or adding something to their workouts, start small, progressive, and build it up week by week. Right? Like, be smart about it, because again, we're thinking of this as a long-term lifestyle and not, trying to go out and be a hero and see what we can do off the bat. So, I mean, congrats to you. I mean, that's a lot of weight. Don't get me wrong. That is a lot of weight to lift, but I personally wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't do it myself, right? And as far as how long it's going to take you to progress to more, I mean, if you can stay injury free, you'll probably progress a lot quicker. If you push beyond that limit and get injured, then it's you won't even be doing the 7 plates. I mean, you probably won't even be able to do a hack squat if you get injured. So myself and Jeff talked about this earlier, so I'm not going to rehash what we already spoke on, but injury prevention, that is the secret to sustainability and long-term success with this. All right. try and scroll through. We got a few more questions there I want to address, and then we're going to clue it up because we've been, holy shit, I'm going for an hour and 24 minutes. Let's see. Louise joining in. Could you give us a sample of an eating day where you're trying to lose fat? I actually have a couple videos on YouTube showing full day of eating. So just do a search on YouTube or go to my main channel page for Lee Hayward full day of eating. Literally type that into my YouTube channel, and there's a couple of videos doing exactly that, right? Breaks it down meal by meal with the calories, the macros, all that stuff. So it's there. Just do a search for it. Next question here from Thigh. I would say this is specifically important if you're a beginner, intermediate, and I would also say free weights are what gives greater degree of motion possibilities, not machines with linear movements. I totally agree with frequent total body movements. Regards from Mexico. All right. Thank you for sharing your insights. Much appreciated. I'm trying to go quickly here just to answer the last remaining questions, and then we're going to get ready to clue it up because my wife has dinner on the table and I don't want to hold them up too much longer. Khalid saying, Coach, glad to see you. My question is, fish cover skin, is it fat? All right. Glad to see you as well. Well, seeing your body being carved there in the avatar. My question is, fish cover skin, is it fat? Is the skin of the fish fat? Is that what you're trying to ask? Maybe. I know English is not your primary language, so hey, your English is much better than my. I don't speak any other languages than English. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So I have a lot of respect for people who are bilingual or trilingual or speak multiple languages, and you can, because man, like I feel lazy as an native English speaker, because English is kind of like a universal language for most people, and I don't speak any other languages. So the fact that you can even answer or ask a question in another language is much respect here. So the fish cover skin, is it fat? Yeah, I mean, a lot of the fish typically don't have like a lot of fat under the skin, but if you can see it, like if you look at the skin of the fish and you can see the white fat there, then yeah, there is some fat. Like sometimes you see in a fattier fish like a salmon, you can actually see the white layer of fat. I mean, that is the fat of the fish. And if you cook it and you see like the oil coming out of it, you can see the fish oil there, especially in the fattier fish. Like salmon is a fatty fish, mackerel, sardines and things of that nature. Like you can even Google search like what are fatty fish, and that they tend to have more fat. And of course, some of that's going to be in the skin, of course. Then you have white fish, which tends to be much lower in fat. So like codfish or flounder and things like that. They're much leaner. Tilapia, another one that's pretty lean. The white fish generally is much lower in fat, and then then you have the fattier fish, which is more higher in fat. But the thing with fish fat for the most part is a healthy source of fat. So it's not something like you should try and eliminate from your diet. Like when I eat salmon, I want to eat the salmon because not only am I getting some good protein in there, but I'm getting some good high quality omega-3s and essential fatty acids. So I utilize that as a source of healthy fat. So fish fat, for the most part, is good, healthy fat. It's not something that you want to shy away from. So, enjoy the fish if you want. If you enjoy eating the skin of it and stuff, then that's fine as well. What else we got there? Let's move on. We have William Shakespeare, back from the dead. Are you excited for the Christmas season? You know what? I haven't really given it much thought. There's no Christmas tree in the house yet. I haven't been playing Christmas music or any of that yet. It's going to hit me soon enough, right? I've got a 6-year-old, so I mean, once he starts, getting into the Christmas groove, I mean, I'll get into the Christmas groove. And I'll say this, it's a lot more fun to have Christmas with a child at home versus before, because when you don't have any young kids around, Christmas is just like a formality. But when you got young kids who still believe in Santa Claus and they're going through the excitement and the build up leading to Christmas, that's fun. I do enjoy that. I got to say, I really do enjoy seeing that kind of excitement. But before my son Harvey was born, it was just, you know, the old fogies getting together for Christmas dinner. And man, like, I mean, not that I don't enjoy spending time with the family and all that, don't get me wrong, but the whole Christmas hype and stuff, it's for kids. So, I mean, as long as you got kids around, it's exciting. If there's no kids around, I could take it or leave it. I know some people are saying, listen to Scrooge there. Bah, humbug. Neil saying, thanks much. Have a great weekend. You too, my friend. Enjoy your weekend, Neil. Eagle Eye John says, I had a defibrillator implant change, not a pacemaker. How long does muscle reduce size? I can't train for 3 weeks. Okay, well, I don't have any experience with defibrillator implants, nor do I have experience with pacemakers. So, I mean, that's, again, that's talk to your doctor about the specifics with that stuff. But if you're not able to train for 3 weeks, you are going to lose some strength and some muscle fullness. You will experience some atrophy, right? When you don't use it, you lose it. And surprisingly, you do lose strength and fitness fairly quickly. Like 3 weeks off, you will notice it. Like you'll feel weaker. You'll see your strength and muscle fullness go down. Like you will see the atrophy after a few weeks. But the good news is it also can come back quick as well. So once you get back into normal training again, you will quickly regain the muscle you lost once you're back into the routine again. But you will see it go down. It's almost like, you know, letting the air out of a balloon and then blowing it back up again, right? Like it will quickly deflate, but then once you get back on track again, it will quickly reinflate again. So it's quicker to regain lost muscle the second time around than it is to gain it initially, right? So that's good news. So for anybody, like if you're coming back to the gym after a layoff, whether it's from injury or a medical operation, or you just got off track and you stopped working out, when you come back the second time around, you can always regain lost strength and muscle quicker the second time than it took you to initially gain it. Yeah, Billy's saying, Big Lee, thanks for all you do, Savage Beast. That will never die, right? That Savage Beast line was brought up over a decade ago in a YouTube video that Vince Del Monte and myself did down at a gym in Las Vegas back in the late 2000s, over a decade ago. We were working out together and Vince goes, this guy's a savage. This guy's a beast. Right? This guy's a savage beast. And I don't know, like we were just young and dumb YouTubers starting off back in the day. And he threw that comment out there, but it stuck like shit to a blanket. And people have been calling me the Savage Beast ever since. So obviously, Billy, you've been around the block for a while. It's all right. The Savage Beast is here. I don't consider myself much of a savage nor a beast, but I don't know. The name sticks nonetheless. Khalid saying, that's what I mean. So the skin on the fish is what you mean. Yes, you can eat your fish, my friend. Nothing wrong with it. Good source of essential fatty acids and omega-3s. And John is saying, thanks. You're welcome. All right, I've come to the end of our list of questions and comments and feedback, as far as I can see. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to get ready and clue up our video chat. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Hopefully you found it helpful and you got some insights. So if there's anything you would like further clarification on, regardless of the question that we covered here, or maybe you have some other questions, feel free to reach out, right? You can message me over on Facebook. And if you haven't already done so, friend me up over on Facebook. Just search for Lee Hayward on Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding is the page, but you can also friend request me as well. Find my personal profile and friend me up there. And I do share a lot of stuff over there. That's kind of like my main social platform, if you will. But if you do want to, you can also reach out to me through email and we can chat there. And also let you know, keep your eyes open, right? Especially over on Facebook, because that's where I'm sharing it. We have a special coming on for Black Friday. It's a Muscle After 40 body recomp program. We got a special promo for Black Friday. So if you want all the details and want to get in on it, again, find me over on Facebook. That's where I share all the information about that. And if you're interested in coming on board, we got some goodies in store and a great deal that you don't want to miss out. So again, check it out. The Muscle After 40 body recomp Black Friday promo coming up soon. And with that being said, I'm going to end our live stream. So again, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I will be back here next week with another one. Take care. Over and out.